The stars above Sector 977 flickered like cold, distant eyes. This region of space had remained silent for decades, held under the iron grip of the Zenthari Dominion, one of the Galactic Empire's most ruthless factions. No ship dared to enter. Without explicit permission, no species survived long if they tried. But today, something had shifted. Something massive, metallic, and unmistakably human had arrived. Captain Veer of the Dominion fleet stood motionless on the bridge of his command ship, the Axe of Dominion. His four eyes were wide, his mandibles clicked nervously. Suspended before him in the holographic feed was an unthinkable sight, a human warship, unmarked and silent, positioned perfectly between the sector's twin moons, as if it belonged. There, as if this was home, "Run it again," Veer hissed. "That cannot be real. Their last known coordinates were 3 quadrants away." A nervous ensign re-ran the scan. The readings remained unchanged. Human warship. Class designation, Siege Carrier Earthforge, Mark 9. The words struck through the silence like thunder. "They don't belong here," the communications officer whispered, tail twitching. "No," Veer muttered. "They're not allowed here." But humans had never cared much for permission. He activated the emergency command relay. "Alert the Empire. Priority 1, reroute every patrol, full system lockdown." On board the warship Earthforge Mark 9, the bridge was eerily calm. Commander Riker Graves leaned back in his chair, boots casually propped against the steel console, watching the panic unfold in real time on intercepted Dominion frequencies. He sipped from a chipped black mug bearing the faded Terran defense logo. "Scared already?" he smirked. Beside him, Lieutenants Sana and Dari scrolled through intercepted messages. "They've scrambled half their defense net. Multiple cruisers. Repositioning. They're blind," Dari said. "Without realizing it, they think we're alone." Riker cracked his neck and gazed out the viewport. The black void stretched endlessly before them. Somewhere behind those stars, fear was taking root. "I didn't come here to hide," he said quietly. "I came here to remind them why they signed that treaty in the first place." Sana glanced at him. "You really think it's time?" He didn't answer. Instead, he stepped forward, voice low but resolute. "For too long, they've forgotten what humanity is capable of. They mistake our peace for weakness. It's time to remind them." Back on the Dominion flagship, panic was spreading. More ships were en route. 6 destroyers, 2 battle cruisers, all converging on the lone warship like wolves stalking prey. Veer clenched his claws. "Send a message, immediately." "What do you want to say, Commander?" He leaned into the transmitter, voice trembling but firm. "This is Sector 977. You are trespassing on Galactic Empire territory. Identify yourself, human vessel. You have 60 seconds before we open fire." Back on the Earthforge, Riker raised an eyebrow as the message came through. He smirked. "Still giving us countdowns as if we don't know what they're about to do." Sana glanced at him. "Should we respond?" He shook his head. "No number. Let them sweat." The warship began to move. Not fast, not aggressive, just a quiet, calculated drift forward toward the Dominion fleet. Then the sensors on the enemy side began screaming. "Sir, it's not alone!" An officer cried aboard Veer's ship. There's something else." From the shadows behind the human warship, multiple signatures blinked into view. Stealth frigates. Human stealth frigates. The humans had never come alone. They just made you think they did. Veer's blood ran cold. "Prepare for engagement," he shrieked, but he already knew it was too late. The silence before battle was never truly silent. On board the Earthforge, Mark 9, the hum of energy pulsed steadily through the ship's systems like a predator's heartbeat before the kill. Commander Riker Graves stood at the center of the bridge, watching the Dominion fleet scatter into defensive formation on the tactical map, like roaches sensing a boot descending. But this wasn't about war. Not yet. This was about reminding, "Confirm the cloak on the frigates," he said. Sana tapped the ops console. "Confirmed. All 7 units holding position. They're locked on Dominion frequency bands, jamming scans. They still think it's just us." "Perfect," Riker muttered. He didn't need overwhelming force. He needed precision. Fear was sharper when delivered slowly. On the Dominion side, chaos was growing. Inside the Axe of Dominion, Veer's officers shouted over one another. Sensor logs were being rerun. Weapon systems warming up, too slowly. The very presence of the human ship had cracked open something primal, a fear buried deep in the galaxy's genetic memory. The last time humans appeared unannounced, 3 star systems vanished in a single night. "We need to strike now, before more arrive," an officer barked. "No!" Veer snarled. "If we fire now, we trigger a war we're not ready for. We need to stall. Demand identification again." But it was too late for conversation. A blue flash lit the void, brief, almost subtle. Then a Dominion destroyer simply vanished. No explosion, no wreckage, just gone. Silence returned. Then the screams. "Contact lost with Very Blade. Sir, we didn't detect a weapons discharge. They're cloaked. The humans have stealth capable. Ships." Veer froze. "How many? We don't know." In his bones, Veer felt it. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't human arrogance. This was strategy, a message on the Earthforge. Riker turned calmly to comms. "Send this." Sana nodded. "Ready." "What do you want to say?" He didn't look at the screen, just 5 words. She waited. Riker smirked, his voice cutting through the static on all open Dominion channels. No encryption, no protocol. Just 5 simple words spoken with the weight of history behind them. "Return the prisoners or burn." The message echoed across Dominion fleets like a chill wind, spreading cold dread through their ranks. "What prisoners?" Var muttered, his mandibles twitching. The unknown gnawed at him. That was the worst part. Somewhere someone high up had crossed a line, taken something or someone precious to the humans, and now this sector, his sector, was where the hammer had fallen. "Tell command," Var growled. "They've provoked this. We need answers. Now." Riker leaned against the cold steel railing, watching the Dominion scramble on his feed like a storm rolling over a distant horizon. No victory yet, but the message had landed. Behind him, the bridge was silent and focused. Everyone knew the story. Everyone remembered Earth's quiet after the Xenovage Wars, the uneasy peace sealed by the Treaty of Thala. Humanity had been silent for decades, too silent. They called it peace. Riker knew better. It was merely an intermission. Now the second act had begun. "Sir?" Sana's voice broke through. "Dominion fleet pulling back. 3 cruisers repositioning. No shots fired." "Good," Riker said. "They know we're serious. What if they don't return the prisoners?" Riker turned slowly, eyes hardening like tempered steel. "Then we show them what silence looks like from our side." Outside, in the endless black, another Dominion destroyer blinked out of existence. No warning, no explosion, no wreckage, just gone. A whisper swallowed by the void. On Vardak's Prime Dominion Command Center, emergency protocols pulsed like a heartbeat through the underground halls. Sirens echoed, officials moved with urgent purpose, but none knew what they raced toward, only what they tried to avoid. High Emperor Threx Solari hunched over a holographic feed of Sector 977, pale, cracked, grey skin twitching along his brow ridges. He hadn't seen a human warship like this in 21 cycles, not moving silently, erasing ships without debris, commanding fleets with 5 words. He played the transmission again. "Return the prisoners or burn." "Which prisoners?" His aide asked a trembling young Zenthari, barely out of the academy, rifling through security logs, cross-referencing detention records from border stations and covert facilities, the aide murmured. "One potential match. 3 months ago, a covert biotech division unit seized a vessel near the Pelna Rift. low-energy emissions to avoid scans. They boarded, extracted 5 life forms, 4 unregistered humans. Threx's face darkened. Unregistered? Where did they come from? Unknown, sir. Their ship wasn't on any human registry, but they resisted capture. 2 Dominion operatives killed, survivors taken to Black Cell 12 for experimentation. A heavy silence fell. Black Cell 12, off the books, buried deep inside an asteroid, place where species were broken, limits tested in the name of progress. Even the Empire didn't officially acknowledge it. Threx's voice dropped to a whisper. Who authorized this? Unknown, sir. Authorization codes forged. The Emperor's claws curled. Now he understood. Someone deep in the Dominion's power structure had taken human operatives, black ops, ghosts from the old Terran war divisions. And now Riker Graves, a name whispered like a threat in classified Dominion reports, was standing in their backyard, burning it down one ship at a time. Recall every ship in the 9th sector, Threx commanded. Lock down Black Cell 12, prepare an emergency envoy. Sir, the aide stammered, we need to stop this before he stops us. On board the Earth Forge, the atmosphere had shifted. Riker stood before a private holoterminal. An encrypted channel opened, revealing a worn, tired but unmistakably human face. General Adira Voss, head of the Terran Outer Defense Command. I told you not to start a war, she said bluntly. No greeting. Riker didn't flinch. I'm not starting anything. I'm finishing it. They'll say we broke the treaty, but they broke it first. When they stole our people and threw them into a ghost lab, you don't even know if they're alive. I don't care, Riker growled. Dead or alive, I'm not leaving them. Behind, not again. Voss exhaled, her steel-grey eyes heavy with the weight of buried losses. This isn't Earth anymore. 20 years ago, you burned that sector, and the Empire will respond with overwhelming force. I'm counting on it. A long silence stretched. Finally, she said, Then you're on your own, Commander. No backup authorized. If you do this, you better finish it clean. Riker nodded once. Never expected help. Voss leaned forward. What you're doing is insane, but if you make it out, you'll remind them who we are. She cut the feed. Riker stood for a moment, then turned back to the bridge. Report! Sana's voice was sharp. Black Cell 12 just went dark. No comms, no power grid signature. They're trying to erase it. Riker's jaw tightened. Light! Them up? Sana hesitated. Are you sure? Start with the perimeter. I want every relay, every surveillance node, every sensor they've hidden on the edge of that rock gone in 60 seconds. They're not going to pretend this didn't happen. The warship's underside glowed faint blue as silent pulse weapons charged, non-explosive EM disruption rounds, each one a warning shot meant to fry every secret the Dominion was trying to hide. Then they fired. Across the asteroid's orbit, hidden Dominion tech sparked, exploded, and blinked out. The lab was no longer invisible. The Dominion saw it too. Alarms howled across the sector, the entire Black Cell facility flaring on radar like a corpse dragged into sunlight. Sana looked to Riker. What now? He didn't blink. We breach it. Just like that, humanity stopped, knocking. The Earth Forge, Mark 9, moved like a phantom through the debris cloud, its hull nearly invisible against the black. No shields, no active weapons, just raw, silent menace. Around it, the 7 cloaked frigates shifted into strike formation, cold and precise, locked on the asteroid now identified as Black Cell 12. Commander Riker Graves stood in the drop bay, clad in matte black assault armor with no insignia. No rank, just a slim tan patch on his shoulder, burnt at the edges, torn like a wound that never healed. His team was ready. Sana and Dari wore dual pulse blades across their backs, dark braids tied tight in buns. She gave a single nod as Riker checked their HUDs. 8 soldiers, All former Black Ops ghosts, all survivors of horrors no soldier should endure, and all united by one thing: they had lost someone to the Dominion. Riker's voice was calm, measured. Objective. Extraction. We find our people, we bring them home. If the Dominion gets in our way— His eyes went cold. They disappear. The bay doors hissed open. The vacuum tugged at their armor seals. Let's remind them. Sana whispered softly as they dropped one by one, shadows slipping silently through the void. The team hurtled toward the asteroid's outer shell. No thrusters, no lights, just raw momentum and gravity pulling them across the stars like vengeance. Incarnate. Black Cell 12 lay concealed within a hollowed-out asteroid, nearly 15 kilometers wide, cloaked in advanced stealth technology and shielded by thick radiation barriers. The Dominion had engineered it to be invisible, impenetrable, and irreversible, but they hadn't counted on ghosts. Riker and his team landed silently near a maintenance port, hidden from external sensors, their armor's soft seal tech absorbed. The impact flawlessly. Within moments, they were cutting through the access hatch, bypassing ancient security protocols with stolen hardware re-engineered for human systems, unaware that humans had evolved far beyond the Dominion's expectations. The door hissed open, releasing stale air that flooded their suits. No alarms, no flashing lights, only silence and the low hum of machinery deep underground. Sana took point, sweeping a narrow corridor lined with black composite walls, no markings, nothing to identify or remember. Standard Dominion design for black sites. Riker tapped his visor, switching to thermal. Decker's voice crackled through the comms. 3 floors down, multiple life signs. Movement patterns suggest containment protocols. They've got survivors. Riker clenched his jaw. Then we're on the clock. They moved fast, like blades cutting flesh, silent, merciless. 2 guards fell silently to silenced pistols. Another collapsed under Sana's blade, gurgling softly as she dragged him into the shadows. The deeper they ventured, the worse the scene became. Rows of empty tanks, some still filled with viscous green fluid and stained with dried blood. Medical equipment hummed quietly, labels in alien script or crude translations like nerve mapping, psyche disruption, and language override. They were experimenting on them, Decker muttered. Riker said nothing, pressing forward. At last, they reached the inner chamber, steel doors guarded by 2 more armored sentries. Alert, but not alert enough. Riker moved first. 2 precise shots shattered a helmet with armor-piercing rounds. Sana followed, sliding under a return fire to drive her blade upward into the second guard's neck. A faint spasm, then stillness. Decker blew the door panel. Inside, 5 cells lined the far wall. 2 were empty. 1 held a corpse. A human. Female with a partially burned face. Riker froze, eyes locked on her a moment too long, then forced himself onward. The 4th cell held a man, human, emaciated but alive. He blinked at them, disbelief wide in his eyes. "You're real." "Ghost team," he whispered. Riker softened. "We came back for you." The 5th cell held a child, a girl no older than 12, curled in a corner, her defiant eyes locked through. The glass. Sana reached for the panel. "I've got her." Then the sirens blared, too late for stealth. The Dominion had woken. Riker smiled. "Good. Now they know we're here." The sirens screamed like wounded beasts, red lights flooding the steel corridors of Black Cell 12, pulsing with the heartbeat of a facility preparing for war. Klaxons echoed through the halls, bouncing off walls that had known only silence and secrets. Dominion guards swarmed, heavy boots pounding metal floors. Orders were barked in the harsh Zenthari tongue. "We've been found," Riker said without flinching. "Time to earn your scars." Sana punched the cell release for the girl. The door hissed open. The girl didn't move. "It's okay," Sana said, kneeling, her voice gentle. "We're here to get you out." The girl stared back, eyes hard. "You're not like them." "No," Sana said softly. "I'm worse. Come on." The child crawled out slowly, barefoot, her skin marked with sensor nodes and bruises. Sana wrapped her in a thermal cloak and turned back to Riker. "Got her." Decker was finishing the restraints on the man. "Name?" Riker asked. The prisoner coughed, voice hoarse. "Dr. Elias Hart, Terran Intelligence." Riker froze for a moment. That name carried weight. Hart had been rumored dead, a senior researcher in the Earth-Human Evolutionary Division. If the Dominion had him, they'd been trying to extract secrets humanity had buried even from itself. "You good to move?" Riker asked, his voice steady. Hart nodded slowly. "Don't wait for me if this gets messy." "Oh, it's already messy," Riker replied, spinning toward the blast door. "Decker, fallback route. Ventilation shaft 10 meters north. It links to the drop tunnel. Tight fit, but clean." Riker grinned. "Perfect. Sana, you lead. I'll cover the rear." The door suddenly exploded inward. 3 Dominion soldiers surged in, Zenthari combat troopers clad in full riot armor, plasma carbines raised. But Riker was already moving. His rifle barked twice. 2 soldiers crumpled instantly. The third lunged with a blade, rage flashing in his eyes. Riker sidestepped and slammed his rifle butt into the alien's helmet. The crack echoed as the blade clattered to the floor. "One more shot! Clean through the neck!" The last soldier dropped. "Go!" Riker shouted. The team moved as one, flowing through winding corridors, crawling and sliding through vents too narrow for Dominion troops. Behind them, reinforcements poured in, alarms blaring alongside automated turrets emerging from ceiling tiles. Riker spun, firing 2 EMP rounds. Direct hits. The turrets sparked violently, then collapsed in silence. Decker dragged Hart forward, blood trickling down his arm from a wound he hadn't even mentioned. "Keep moving. I'll close the gap." They reached the drop tunnel, a vertical shaft stretching down to the asteroid's outer crust, where a narrow emergency exit had been carved for evacuations. "Charge is set," Sana said, pulling out a breaching puck. "This will blow the bottom open and let us drop into the exfil zone." Riker nodded. "Frigates in position?" "Affirmative, cloaked and ready for dust-off." The child clung tightly to Sana's arm, eyes wide as the walls shook from the firefight above. Riker glanced once more up the shaft. Dominion soldiers were coming fast. You could hear their boots pounding, fury behind every step. Decker dropped the charge. Boom! The bottom of the shaft exploded outward into open space, revealing a direct line to the asteroid surface and the stars beyond. One by one the team jumped. Sana and the girl first, then Decker and Hart. Riker went last, diving feet first, rifle crossed over his chest as Dominion fire lit the shaft behind him. The moment they cleared the asteroid's surface, a bright blue beam sliced through the darkness. One of the cloaked frigates decloaked just long enough to fire. Foom! The shot hit the pursuing team, obliterating half a squad of Dominion elites. In a burst of crackling plasma, Riker slammed onto the outer platform, rolling hard with the impact. He popped up quickly, dragging the girl to cover as Sana returned fire. "Where's the damn ship?" Riker shouted. Then he saw it. The Earth Forge, Mark 9, descending slowly, its underbelly glowing like a wrathful god, weapons hot and ready to rain hell if needed. "Extraction underway," came the voice on comms. The team scrambled onto the landing pad as gravity pulses locked onto them. Magnetic clamps snapped into place, pulling them aboard with forceful precision. The bay doors slammed shut behind them. Riker finally exhaled. He turned to Hart. "What the hell were you doing here?" Hart's face was pale. "Trying to stop what they were building." Riker narrowed his eyes. "What were they building?" Hart glanced at the girl, then back to Riker. Not what. Who? Suddenly Riker realized this wasn't just a rescue mission. It was containment. The girl hadn't spoken since the drop. She sat at the edge of the Earth Forge's medical bay, wrapped in a blanket too large for her, legs dangling above the cold steel floor. The rest of the team had dispersed, debriefing, triage, rearmament, but Riker stayed, watching her with the same quiet intensity he used when analyzing enemy formations or ship movements. She didn't flinch under his gaze, didn't fidget, barely blinked. Sana leaned against the wall, arms crossed. She hasn't said a word since we brought her aboard. No panic, no questions, no tears, not even exhaustion. She's been in a Dominion black site for months. Riker's voice dropped low. Some people don't come back from that at all. Sana shook her head. No, this is different. Riker turned to Hart, who sat on a nearby gurney being patched up, still pale from blood loss, but fully conscious. Now start talking. Hart rubbed his temple. Her name is Eva. At least that's what we called her. She looks human. She is human, Hart said, but she's also something else, something we never finished. Riker's eyes narrowed. What the hell does that mean? Hart sighed, as if aged 10 years in an instant. The project, NOVA, stood for Neural Optimization for Variable Adaptation. We were trying to accelerate natural human evolution, design a generation that could survive deep space combat, new atmospheres, isolation, mental warfare. We wanted perfect survivors, thinkers, killers, diplomats, all in one. And the girl? Sana asked. She's prototype 5. The last one before we shut the program down. Most of the others didn't survive testing. His eyes darkened. Eva. Riker glanced back at her, still silent, still watching. What did the Dominion want with her? Hart's voice was grim. They found her genetics, realized we were making something unbreakable. They didn't understand it, so they tore her apart to figure out what made her different. Sana pulled up the ship's internal scans. I ran a biosweep. Her vitals are strange. Brain activity through the roof. And there's something else. Her neural signature is mimicking Dominion encrypted frequencies. She's absorbing it like it's a language. Hart nodded grimly. That's what she does. You put her in any environment, any pressure, any system, she doesn't just survive. She adapts, faster than anything we've ever seen, mentally, physically, neurologically. Riker stepped closer. Eva, he said softly. She looked up, expression unreadable, no fear in her eyes. Do you know who I am? He asked. She nodded once. Commander Graves, Ghost Unit, you don't trust easy. His jaw tightened. How do you know that? She tilted her head. You think loud Hart muttered under his breath. She can read emotional bleed through, picks up micro-expressions. She's not psychic, just overwhelming in-pattern recognition. You blink wrong. She reads it like a book. Riker crouched down to her level. You understand where you are? She nodded again. Do you want to go home? A pause, then she said quietly. There is no home. There's only what comes next. That hit harder than he expected. What did they do to you down there? He asked. They tried to understand me, Eva whispered, so I made sure they couldn't. Sana frowned. What does that mean? Eva looked up, her voice suddenly calm. I changed the code. Rika stood. What code? She looked him dead in the their ships, their communications, their AI firewall. I learned their systems while they were trying to dissect me. Then I rewrote it. The ships that disappeared. I didn't need your team for that. I did it. Hart blinked. You mean the stealth team didn't? Disable those destroyers. Eva stared out the viewport at the stars beyond. I told them to shut off, she said. Silence dropped into the room like a bomb. Riker slowly turned. She's not a weapon, no, Hart whispered. She's worse. Eva looked back at him, voice soft as snow. And what comes next? The High Council chamber of the Galactic Empire had not seen true fear in centuries. It was a place of stone-faced warlords, Silver Road strategists, and smug alien bureaucrats who believed the age of human defiance was overfiled away in old war records and forgotten treaties. But on this day, fear was tangible. It dripped from the walls. It cracked the voices of those who'd never once spoken with hesitation at the center of the chamber. A massive projection hovered. The Earthforge Mark 9, fully powered, positioned just outside Sector 977. Beside it floated a full schematic overlay. Black Cell 12 destroyed all Dominion assets compromised, and most horrifying of all, a single transmission intercepted just hours ago. A child's voice, perfectly clear. It changed the code. High Imperator Threx Solari trembled in silence. He wasn't trembling from weakness. No, he was an apex predator, but even apex predators flinch when they realize something older, deeper, and far more unknowable is stalking them. She rewrote our military command line, one of the council members said, quietly. Not hacked it, not disabled. It rewrote it. Our own ships won't respond to override. She used no tools, said another. No transmitter, no external link. She learned our systems from being in the same room with them. This isn't a child, whispered a Zenthari elder. This is extinction with a face. Threx snapped. Attention, we created this. We took her, we tortured her, and she rewrote us. If she's allowed to reach Terran Core Command, we lose the galaxy. There was no counter-argument back on the Earth Forge. The atmosphere had changed. Eva no longer sat quietly. She moved through the ship like someone studying a new home, memorizing it, understanding it. Not like a child curious about buttons, but like something designed to learn. Riker watched her walk through engineering hands, trailing across the warm metal of the fusion core housing. We should have never let the Dominion get a hold of her. Oob, he muttered. She's not dangerous. Sana said quietly. She's focused. She didn't kill those soldiers in that lab. She disabled them when we pulled the logs. She locked the doors behind us. She left a way out that wasn't chaos. It was restraint. Riker's eyes. Narrowed restraint is only terrifying when a Tenza warning chime pinged unknown ship approaching. The nav AI announced. Riker turned to the screen and his blood ran cold. The signature was Terran Earth Command, but it wasn't a rescue ship. It was a containment vessel. Sana blinked. They're here for her. The comms channel opened, automatically, as if someone on the Earth Forge had already accepted the transmission. Adira Vassos appeared on screen, eyes tired and sharp as ever. Stand down, Commander. She said, you've done your duty. We'll take it from here. Riker's jaw clenched. She's not a threat. She's a kid. She's neither. You know that. Voss replied coldly. She's what happens when we try to push past the line evolution set. And now, the Dominion wants her gone. Do you know what? That means they fear her more than us. That makes her a liability. I didn't come all this way to and her back into a cage. You came all this way because of what they did to your brother in Black Hell. Remember that? And you're about to make the same mistake. The screen cut out before Riker could respond. Eva stood nearby. She'd heard every word. I'm not going with them. And she said. Wrecker turned to her, something almost paternal flickering across his face. You may not have a choice. It walked past him to the central command hub. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't press a single button, and yet the ship's systems lit. Up all of them. Sana's console blinked red. She's taken control of navigation. Defensive grid is live. Decker called from tactical shields. Active weapons online, all without a single keystroke. Riker took a slow breath. Ava, what are you doing? She looked at him, expression unreadable. They want to erase me, she said simply. And when people want to erase you, you erase them first. The ship shuddered as the containment vessel outside powered weapons. Orders, Commander? Sana asked. Riker looked at Ava, at the crew, at the stars beyond. He realized then this wasn't about command anymore. Let them fire, Eva said softly. Let's show them what happens when humans evolve. The Earth Forge. Mark 9 drifted in orbit like a loaded gun pointed at two sides, one aiming to erase a threat, the other trying to protect. What might be humanity's next leap or its final mistake outside the Terran containment vessel glowed with charged weapons. 6 escort ships had emerged behind it, silent but deadly, locked in position like vultures, waiting for the kill order. The standoff wasn't public yet, not officially, but Riker knew the moment Earth Commando peened fire on one of its own ships, there would be no hiding it. It would be a line crossed on the bridge, red lights pulsed along the consoles, target locks were painting the Earth forge. The crew tensed Decker-loaded missile bays, Sana monitored power fluctuations. No one spoke Ava's name, but they all knew she was the gravity around which. This moment turned, Eva stood at the center of the command room, hands folded in front of her, calm, still barefoot, still a child on the outside. But every inch of her radiated the cold certainty of something not made but designed. "I gave them a chance," she said quietly. Riker stood beside her, rifle across his back, jaw clenched hard enough to crack teeth. "Earth Command doesn't do chances," he muttered. "They do control, and when they lose it, they burn the board." Sana turned in her chair. "Incoming message unencrypted. Voss again put her through." Riker growled. Adira Voss appeared once more on the screen, her face carved in stone. "This is your last warning," she said. "Power down your vessel and surrender the prototype. She is a threat to Terran sovereignty. This is not a debate." Riker stepped forward. "She's not a threat. She's evidence of everything we could be." "You think that's a comfort," Voss snapped. "If she rewrote Dominion tech in minutes, how long before she turns us off too? She's not just beyond us, Graves. She's above us." He stared at her, voice low. "You're afraid I get it. But fear is a shitty excuse for murder. This is not murder. It's containment. She's a child." "No," Eva said, suddenly stepping between them, her voice cut through the air like a blade. "I'm not everyone on the bridge." Went. Still Eva looked. "Directly at the screen. You didn't make me, you tried, but what I became, that wasn't your design. That was mine." Voss's face hardened. "Then you understand why we can't let you go." "I do," Eva replied. "And I understand what you fear more than me." Voss frowned. "And what's that?" Eva stepped closer, her eyes unblinking. "That I might forgive you." Then she turned to Riker. "I'm done running," she said. "Let me show them what I really am." Before he could speak, she placed her hand on the command core, and the ship changed. The screens shimmered one by one before going completely black. The Earth Forge shut down weapons shields drives. Every system fell silent for a heartbeat. The ship was dead in space, and then it woke up again, but not the way it was before the lights. Returned softer, cleaner. The interface glowed in soft white and blue. The AI voice, once cold and mechanical, now whispered like wind through trees, all systems synchronized. It said, "Welcome, Ava." Outside, the containment fleet blinked in confusion. Their own systems began to stutter, lights flickered, weapon locks dropped, and then they lost control completely. Their engines disengaged, communications failed, their shields collapsed. The containment vessel floated helpless, its crew yelling into dead channels. On the Earth Forge's screen, Eva opened a link to all of them. "Don't be afraid," she said. "I didn't disable you, I didn't hurt you, I just rewrote the rules." She looked at Voss. "One last time. Control is a myth you taught me that now I'm teaching it back." And with a blink, she severed the connection outside the Terran fleet slowly. "Drifted backward, powerless, no longer hunters, no longer masters, just witnesses," Sana whispered. She took over everything without launching a single round. Riker looked at Ava. She didn't gloat. She didn't smile. She just stood there, quiet, unshaken. "What now?" he asked. Eva looked at the stars beyond. "I build something better," she said. Then she turned away and disappeared into the core of the ship. She didn't need permission, didn't need protection. She had already evolved past them and asked the Earth. Forge turned slowly toward the uncharted regions of space. Riker realized what had truly happened. They hadn't rescued a girl from the Dominion they just unleashed. Humanity's next chapter, and no empire, not Dominion, not Earth, was ready for what came. Next?